Guys, welcome back. Okay, so listen, did any of you guys pick up that Natasha Denona little mini palette that she came out with? I believe it's called the Mini Gloom palette. I thought it was really cute when I saw it. The pretty sage like color vibe, you know, color story of it. I thought it was really cute, but when I looked at it, I was like, how often do I really wear that color story? And I know I have those shades in my collection already, maybe even in some palettes that really can kind of dupe that little Natasha Denona palette. And while I do love her formula and I think it's an amazing formula, I truly was like, I can come up with looks that I would create using that little mini Gloom palette with shadows I have in my collection. So my first thing that I wanted to do was I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and dupe it, but kind of create my own palette with my own vibe, but really stay true to that color story. And so I started digging through my singles. If you guys watched my video, was it last year? I think, when I was really trying to start a no-buy, which at this point I realize is impossible for me. But I was like, you know what? In preparation for my no-buy, I'm going to take all of my single shadows and organize them by color. And I'm really glad I did, because that really is beneficial and it really helps me when it comes to doing things like this, creating dupe vibes or whatever. So if you haven't seen the palette, this is what it looks like. I don't have the palette to kind of compare my palettes and my shadows to, but this is what it looks like. Not a very complex or difficult color story to replicate, but it is a very, very pretty palette. And I created this eye look using my dupe palette and my dupe shadows. So I know that I really do love the color story because I'm just looking at this color on my eyes and I really like it. So anyways, let's move ahead into me showing you the palette that I created from my singles and showing you some palettes that I have in my collection and other items that maybe you might have to kind of use and create these same looks if you didn't grab the palette. Okay, so now with the palette that I created it in one of these little acrylic palettes. I love these palettes. I think I don't remember where I got these from. Someone I seen, I think on Instagram, that sells these. I ordered some in this size and some slightly larger, but it just kind of really creates a beautiful, you know, clear vision of a color story. So I love these little palettes for my shadows. But anyways, this is the dupe palette that I created from my single shadows, and I'm not going to go through each and every single shadow and tell you what it is, because unless you have, you know, a lot of singles or the same singles as me, is kind of irrelevant unless you want to buy it. But what I will do is I will list the shadows that I have in here in the description box, just in case you're curious. But as you can see, I have like some really pretty green shimmer shadows in here, kind of duochromes, multi-chromes. I have this really pretty pinky champagne shade. I have this kind of taupey shimmer shade. This is another kind of taupey shimmer shade up here. I put in here really pretty kind of mossy green. I also have in here a pretty taupey tan shade, a really dark kind of cool tone brown, super duper dark, and also a really dark kind of olivey sagey type green to go along with the color story. So this is the palette that I created, and I think it really is a nice, good dupe type palette for the Natasha Denona, with a little bit of an extra, you know, bit of spice to it, because this definitely, as you see, is 9 shades and hers is 5, I believe. So yeah, I am in love with this palette, and this is the one that I used to create this look today. Now, another palette that I kind of felt like gave the same type of vibes you might have already is this Star Wars palette. This one is from the Mandalorian, you know, show or whatever, and really cute. Everybody kind of went wild over this palette and this color story, and this kind of gives me those same type of vibes. You know, it has like a little bit more of a pull of mint to it, but it still has like some of the sagey greens, pretty browns. And while this brown in here, I don't think you know, is as deep and as dark, of course, is the one from the Natasha Denona. I think this palette definitely would give you the same type of vibes. Gorgeous greens in here. So it's really, really pretty to me. I think if you have this palette, you might be able to pull off some similar looks. I also pulled my That's Taupe from ColourPop. I have quite a few ColourPop palettes in here because, you know, ColourPop is good for the monochromatic vibes with their palettes, and so if you already have a lot of them, you can kind of create your own palettes, create your own dupes and things like that. But this Taupe palette, I love this palette. I love the colors in here. I love taupe shadows though, so it's really, really pretty. It's funny because as much as I love taupe color stories and taupe vibes, I really don't do these type of looks on my eyes as often as you would think I would, just because, you know, they just don't come to mind. But I feel like that palette would be good to pull from, you know, to mix with some greens. I also have this Fresh Greens palette from ColourPop. Once again, the pretty light sagey tone greens in here. Pretty green shimmers, not the same as the one in the palette, but really, really pretty. And then also has, you know, some lighter shimmers to play with. I feel like these greens over here in this nice tan shade is really, really good to help create the same type of looks, same vibes or whatever. With the look that I have on today, I definitely could have used this to create it, except for, you know, the shimmers, because I feel like the shimmer in that palette, let me take a quick look because I'm not looking at it obviously, but you know, that really pretty green shimmer in that palette can be difficult for some people to dupe if they don't really have kind of that taupey green mossy dual chromy type shimmer. But a lot of palettes actually have shimmers like that in it. Now this Sigma Ivy palette, this is another one that's really pretty. You know, ignore the blue, but if you, the blue is gorgeous, but if you ignore that, it definitely has like the really deep brown, the really pretty green shimmer in here. It has like the tan taupey brown up here with some other pretty shimmers that you can play around with. Now I know in her palette that one of the lighter shimmers has like a champagne-y pinky type vibe to it. And while I did, you know, pull one of those in my dupe palette down here, you know, it can easily be duped with a different lighter shimmer if you don't like that pink tone to it. But if you do, you know, it's just a really pretty light champagne-y pinky shade, quite honestly. Now Nomad, I've had this for years and years and years and years and years. Nomad had came out with this Malibu palette, and I thought about this because I was like, this is a palette I never think about, never reach for, none of that. But it's like these greens in here really give like that same type of sagey, mossy, earthy vibe, you know, and you have some light pops in here. So if you have this palette, you might want to reach for that, pull it out, and you really can get the same type of vibe. Combine it with some of your own shimmers. Maybe you have some pretty singles like I have here. I'm going to show you some from Moira, and I think I have one maybe from Beauty Creations as well to show. Or even shadow sticks. I have a shadow stick as well that I'm going to show you guys that you can combine with an all matte palette like this to create the same type of look. Let me see. I'm going to go through the rest of these palettes before I show you like those shimmers and shimmer sticks and whatnot. But yeah, I have another palette here from ColourPop. ColourPop is just all over this Sage color story, to be honest with you. This is their Sage the Day palette. Once again, I've never reached for, but when I was thinking about this color story, I was like, I know I have this color story in palettes already. It's just a matter of me pulling it and using it. But the shadows in here, definitely same vibe, same flow. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. This palette is beautiful, and it's like same color story. It really is. You know, it's like sometimes people get nitpicky, like, it doesn't have this and it doesn't have that. It's like, it doesn't have to be the exact same. If you have several eyeshadows or eyeshadow palettes in your collection, just pull from those, you know, or buy the palette if you want. But, and you know me, I buy a lot of palettes, obviously, but there's certain ones when I look at it and I'm just like, I don't need that in my collection. I'm good. So this is one of those. Now this palette surprised me. I love this color story from Glamlight. It's one of the Twilight palettes. This one is the Twilight Breaking Dawn. It's the Jacob one, you know. So this palette, it's like came to me later after I was already looking at the obvious palettes. I was like, you know what? That palette is not the exact same color story, but yeah, but it really does give the same type of vibes with some of these shades in here, but with even more punch and pizzazz for you. Okay, so if you have this palette, you probably, you know, really don't need that palette, you know, unless there's certain shades in there that you're in love with. But I mean, the greens in here, you know, just the kind of gray tone vibe, you know, it really kind of, you know, like when I like looking at this eye look that I have right now, I definitely could have created something very similar or the same eye look that I have right now with this palette. I really could have. I think maybe the deep dark mossy green that I have in the outer corner, which is not in here, you know, I would have had to mix like the green and the gray or something like that to get the same vibe, but definitely given the same vibes. I would say if you have this palette, you really don't need the Natasha Denona one unless you're just in love with it. So now I have another palette that's very sentimental. It's not a palette, it's actually a bunch of singles that Sydney Grace created with Mel Thompson, and I put them in here. I have them in this cute little singles palette. So this is not anything that they came in, but I did put a little Sydney Grace sticker on here just so I know what's in here. But years ago, Mel Thompson came out with a color story with Sydney Grace of singles, a collection of singles that same vibe, same mood, same kind of, you know, it just really took me there. And I was like, you know what? There are some shades in here that I feel like really give the same type of vibe, same type of mood. The browns don't go, sorry about the lighting, the palette is messing up the lighting. The browns don't quite go as deep and dark as the ones in the Natasha Denona palette, but I feel like it still gives that sagey vibe. Like this green up here, really pretty. These browns down here, really pretty and dark. It even has like a pink kind of pull to it, you know, if you like that. Of course, it's a little bit more vibrant, but this shimmer here has a pull of pink to it as well. So yeah, it's like these shades here, if you did happen to pick these up when they came out, it's been years now, years ago, you know, rest in peace, Mel Thompson, but she was oh so loved and still is, you know. But just talking about this, it's like, wow, you know. And sometimes I'll watch her videos and it's just, it's heart-wrenching because she made such an impact on the beauty community when she was alive. So yeah, this palette here, or those collection of shadows, if you have that, honestly, I feel like you're good to go. But just quickly, I want to talk about some of the single shadows that I did pull. Now this one is from Beauty Creations. It is a really, really pretty green, like multi-chrome shade. I don't have my glasses on, so I'll put the name on the screen down here. But this is what this shadow looks like. It's really, really pretty. It kind of has like a really pretty pull to it when it comes to a green multi-chrome shift, you know. Really, really pretty. It has like the green pinky taupey type vibe to it. So this one is gorgeous if you happen to have that. This is another single that I pulled out of my collection. A really, really pretty. This one is just like breathtaking, quite honestly. And it's from JD Glow. I don't even think JD Glow still is a brand, you know, is still in existence. I'm not sure though, but this one is really pretty. It's called Unexpected. Now this shade is definitely unexpected. Really, really pretty, gorgeous glass-like. And these all have like that taupey pull to it with the green, but some of them look more mirror-like, you know what I mean? Just really add that va 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 voom that I think maybe the Natasha Denona might not have, you know, but it's still beautiful, same vibes. And then this Moira shadow is actually what I used on my eyes today. Definitely has a beautiful green multi-chrome shift and pull to it. Oh, it's so pretty. Let me see if I can open this without making a mess. I'll put the name on the screen because I can't read that, it's too small. But this is what this one looks like. And this is the one, like I said, that I have on my eyes today. Fell in love with it. And, you know, it can get a little messy though because it's a little flaky. But this one I used because I feel like it has the most green, you know, taupey pull to it while still being absolutely gorgeous and looking extremely unique, like the one that is in the Natasha Denona palette. So those are all of the palettes and shadows that I really pulled for myself just to kind of give me that vibe and feel of the sagey mini Gloom palette from Natasha Denona. And I really feel like I kind of pulled it off. So you guys let me know if you think this is an eye look that can be created from that palette, or maybe close but with a little extra spice or pizzazz, because I definitely can see that. And that's part of my personality. I like a little extra spice and pizzazz anyway. So enough of that. If you would like to see how I created this look, the full makeup look, face and eyes, then stay tuned because it's coming up next.